one of the most hyped shows of the year 24 hours after the official end of the final chapter from the legacy of the Monday Night Wars, seeing Rock pinning Steve Austin to win the winner-take-all match and Vince McMahon celebrating on stage as the final survivor of the wrestling war and the final closure to the peak era, with the WWF now looking to move forward and get things back on track in what was hyped by Vince McMahon as a reboot show for the product set for tonight, kicking off the expected loaded broadcast with Mick Foley after cutting a work-shoot promo on the state of the WWF product last Monday to air some of his legitimate complaints on the company, officially resigning from his commissioner role to write himself off television for the foreseeable future, with Vince set to take over again as the main on-screen authority figure to set the stage for the big angle of the night coming up, with Vince coming out to open the show announcing the official end of both WCW and ECW while renaming the only thing left from the WCW brand in Rock's title to be called the World Championship from now on. And after JR already got the hype going from the start, declaring it one of the most unpredictable nights in show history, Vince added to it announcing that there would be drastic changes taking place tonight, with one of them being an opportunity for an Alliance member to get his job back by joining a special new club, starting with the first major change inviting Paul Heyman to the ring for the response to one of the most talked about segments of the year taking place on SmackDown 4 days ago that saw Heyman shooting on McMahon's history in the industry in a promo that created major buzz in the hardcore audience, teasing the possibility of him allowing Heyman to go back to his commentary job before firing him to kick him out of the building, introducing the returning Jerry Lawler back 15 minutes into the show to take his spot next to JR on commentary for the first time since leaving in February, with Raw after massive intrigue to see the result and follow-up of the Survivor Series winner-take-all match, opening with a huge audience already from the first segment, doing a 4.5 rating with over 6.1 million viewers and a figure above many of the main event numbers of the past month, before jumping further for the end of the McMahon-Heyman segment and Lawler's return to almost enter the 5 rating range already 20 minutes into the show, in a huge increase over the recent average. After closing the Alliance Invasion era, the WWF storyline explanation of keeping many of the major players on television in the immediate future before the brand split was that every champion is already part of the company, with many of the former WCW roster who were already struggling to get on the cards now under legitimate threat of losing their job, with a number of spots limited on the stacked WWF roster, with more major additions about to come in the next several months, with Vince getting back at Van Dam for not accepting his offer to join the WWF a few weeks back to book him in a handicap tables match against the Dudleys, in a match going 4 minutes with the Dudleys going over. In the start of the show, Long turned to simultaneously establish several characters in a new direction. Kurt Angle arrived to the building going straight to Rock's locker room, expecting Rock to thank him for the assist in the main event finish last night, with Rock instead questioning him being undercover in the Alliance for a month, saying that he will never trust either Angle or McMahon, setting up the highest profile match of the night with Rock vs Angle for the world title coming up, as Raw's first hour with major hype and curiosity on a pay-per-view finish and revamped product starting on the night, spiked huge with a massive increase of around 1.5 million viewers over the recent average, as after hovering around the 5 million viewers range for the past month and dropping below it twice, Raw's 9 to 10 p.m. hour on the night jumped huge to over 6.5 million viewers in the most watched first hour on a Raw broadcast since August 6. And as was evident with the rapid turnaround in the summer for the start of the Invasion angle and Rock's return, The WWF and the wrestling industry in general has a massive audience waiting to tune in for the right attraction, with interest picking up big to bring a lot of them back tonight in an almost unprecedented increase of almost 2 million viewers of the first hour from just 2 weeks ago, with Vince returning to the ring for the second time to close it for the follow-up confrontation with Shane and Stephanie, with Shane admitting defeat and walking away to be written off television, while Stephanie tried to work Vince into taking her back to end with him calling security to throw her out of the building to close the hour with a 4.8 rating. Rock vs. Kurt Angle in the top match of the night opening the second hour, saw Raw jumping big with over 700,000 viewers to the peak quarter of the night 5.2 rating, making the Rock-Angle match for the now renamed world title the highest rated segment on a Raw broadcast since early September in the first quarter to break the 7 million viewers mark in months, with Rock and Angle, who were the top two babyfaces on the WWF side for the majority of the Invasion storyline, working their first match back against each other since the buyout before WrestleMania 17 to return to regularly scheduled programming, with Angle despite helping the WWF win the match as McMahon's undercover in the alliance, being established back as a heel throughout the night, with the idea of him playing both sides depending on the outcome of the match, with Rock vs. Angle going 6 minutes to end, with Rock pinning Angle with a roll-up for the finish before bringing out Chris Jericho for the beatdown segment post-match, similar to Angle officially establishing Jericho as a heel to even the sides, with Austin set to turn back in the near future to have Rock and Austin back as the top two babyfaces in the company as the product reset on the night continued. Raw continued to make headlines as Vince McMahon was already in the ring for the third time following a commercial break minutes after the Rock vs. Angle match, and with talks of Raw and the WWF product in general losing its edge in the past few months from the peak period, Vince McMahon was going to restore it himself by introducing his new club with William Regal as the first inductee, bringing back an idea that was first talked about almost 3 years ago to the day following the all-time great corporate champion storyline at Survivor Series 1998 that saw Vince suggesting the angle before being talked out of it by Rock and Russo, taking place on the night with Regal being the first to join the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club in an absurdly comedic segment to continue the momentum of the unique Raw show on the night, and with Vince back in full force as the most featured performer on the show tonight and set to be going forward on the way to the expected split of the brands. Hulk Hogan, who had sporadic talks with McMahon since the start of the year on a potential return, made his wrestling and ring return in a surprise on short notice last Wednesday, with his first match back since the Bash at the Beach Angle last July taking place on the second day of the 10-hour XPW TV tapings, headlining the show in a match against Kurt Hennig with a newly launched company, in part because of the Hogan connection looking to get a permanent TV deal going with a major network in the near future, while in talks with several other major names in Hallbred, Sting and Piper as signing deals on a much lighter schedule than potentially going full-time on the road with McMahon. After already appearing in 3 major segments throughout the night with no main event advertised in advance, Vince McMahon was back out for the 4th time for the WWF title presentation to Kurt Angle, with Steve Austin yet to arrive to the building, walking to the ring with Kurt at 10:54 p.m. for the headline segment of the night, looking to top one of the most newsworthy Raws of the year for the past 2 hours, putting over and thanking Kurt Angle for helping the WWF win the winner-take-all match on behalf of every person in the building, telling Austin to stay where he is after planning to strip him off the title in person, with him set to announce Angle as the new champion, declaring himself as the sole owner of the WWF to signal to the Q a minute from the top of the hour to bring out Ric Flair to a massive ovation from his hometown crowd at Charlotte, North Carolina, as after ramblings and rumors in the past week of Flair looking to reach a settlement with Time Warner, with him still having 6 months remaining on his WCW contract, making his first WWF appearance in almost 9 years since leaving the company to go back to WCW in February 1993, with Flair saying that he bet on a winner last night, with him owning the consortium that bought Shane and Stephanie's stock in the company, officially kicking off the build-up to the planned roster split, with Flair and McMahon now partners as the co-owners of the company, with Steve Austin following moments later, making his first appearance at 11:02 p.m. to take out Angle and McMahon before getting the endorsement from Flair to take back his title and officially turn back babyface, with the company establishing the foundation of the product back throughout the night, with clear defined characters changes that saw Vince, Flair, Austin, Angle and Jericho all being established either as babyfaces or heels to move past the interpromotional angle going forward, with the Ric Flair debut seeing the Raw overrun spiking to a 3-month high with over 1.4 million viewers to a peak 5.5 rating with over 7.2 million viewers, with both the main event segment and Raw overall seeing a massive increase on the night, with the loaded broadcast following the intrigue coming off the pay-per-view payoff last night, jumping to its most watched show since the day after SummerSlam on August 20th with a 4.8 rating and over 6.4 million viewers to kick off the new direction with a strong boost of momentum.